A problem which some of the students were raising about the study of Vedanta is that when they went to know what Vedanta is, they approached some special Vedanta classes and courses which are being conducted by different people in different areas. Many of these classes are asking them to by heart Sanskrit slokas, and these students who are past 40-50 years, they actually wanted to know the essence, the quintessence of Vedanta in their own language. But unfortunately, the people were asking them to learn the Sanskrit slokas by heart without telling them what Vedanta actually is and what is the purpose of Vedanta in our society, in our present 21st century, which is going on to 22nd, 23rd, in any period. What is the relevance of this Vedanta? You can talk about this in either English or Malayalam or in any other regional language, so that the people who come to know these things understand what we mean by these things. Of course, these are written in Sanskrit, so that the Guru should know Sanskrit and how to interpret these things. That is a must. But for the students who are approaching to know, those students who need a degree, a certificate, they may need to learn Sanskrit slogas and all, but for the general public who really want to know, make an inquiry into the truth, language should not be a problem of instruction. The Guru should be able to instruct them in any language which is known to them. So I personally feel that as far as I am concerned, I can speak in English and Malayalam. So this should be the languages of instruction that I should use for students who can understand those two languages. But I should know the Sanskrit language because I had to interpret these things. So this is the approach that I take. So my students need not by heart the Sanskrit slokas, but they have to know certain Mahavakyas, what do they stand for, etc. Now, what is Vedanta actually? It is actually an inquiry into truth. An inquiry is known as Mimamsa, a Gaveshana, a Mimamsa. Everybody wants to know what is the real truth. That is what you call science, no? To know truth is what you mean by science. So an inquiry, a Mimamsa into truth is Vedanta. From the day one of human existence on this earth as a conscious being, this inquiry, this Mimamsa has been going on. Even the first human being had been observing his environment, the objects around him, the planets, the stars, the rivers, everything around him, the living objects around him, the rains coming at regular intervals, everything he has been observing, and he has been adjusting his life according to these phenomena, these natural and available phenomena around him, and he had been passing on this knowledge from his own experience into his next generation. So this Mimamsa, this inquiry and the observations they made and how they made use of that in every season, every year, every wake of life, they have been passing on to the next generation as a culture, as a geographic culture of their own. This is what Vedanta is for an Indian mind living in the tropical India. I mentioned that very clearly because it is in the tropical part of India, that is, we can say from the Vindhya up to the Kanyakumari, Sri Lanka area, that is the tropical India where there are lot of forests, lot of rainfall and lot of biodiversity. The people who are living in these parts, they have been observing all these environmental factors, this biodiverse nature, and they were having the perceptions and analysis of their own perceptions, the thoughts on their own perceptions, all these things put together. This has been transferred. They had asked themselves, from where did I come? From where did all these beings, all this biodiversity around, from where did it come? How is this produced? Not only the living things, the non-living things, where did all these things originate? And to where do I go when I die? Is there an end to this earth and the sky and the innumerable stars which I watch, name and observe according to seasonal variation, seasonal changes? Now, if so, if there is an end to all these things, when it will happen and how it will happen and how many millennia, how many kalpa, yuga they have been here, and they made a knowledge of these by their calculations and all. So, the Jyothisha, the biology, the medicinal knowledge, the Paramanuvada of existence, the Samkhya philosophy, everything were formulated over the years from the very beginning of the first man who became conscious in the tropic of Indian forests, and this is handed over to us as the Vedas and Vedantas. So the origin of the universe is there, the origin of the living beings, the non-living things, the birth and death of so many generations, the time span for each of these beings, the relation between the earth, its environment which includes the cosmos and also its beings, the relationship between different beings and between two human beings as well. What is this, all these things? How is this relationship taking place? How can we make pure races at the same time mixing the races and producing hybrids? All these things can be thought about only in a biodiverse atmosphere where a human being is observing many plants, many animals, many birds which keep their own pure race at the same time making mixed races, no? And they apply that to human beings as well. So these things happen only in a biodiverse area. Then, is there a meaning for human life? Is there a meaning for life at all? If so, what is the meaning of this life? That is the philosophical question. Even if there is subjectivity for each individual about the answers which they get, we find that there is a single universal truth which is revealed and accepted by every human being in every part of the universe, whichever language they are speaking about, whichever custom or culture they are following. There appears to be some objective, some single universal truth. So that must be the absolute. All the others must be subjective or relative truths only. So, a cognizance of a perfectly single absolute truth which encompasses all these external and internal objects and thoughts together. That single absolute truth and the naming of that truth. What to name? Can you call it God? Can you call it a special name? Can you call it Brahma? Can you call it Shiva, Krishna? Those things are again subjective. The naming is subjective. But the entity, the absolute truth that encompasses all these has to be a single absolute Ekam, Eka truth. For that cognizance, how should a person sharpen one's intellect? To reduce the subjectivity, one has to sharpen one's intellect to the utmost perfection level, and also develop compassion for everything on earth, not for one group, not for one single race, but for everybody, every being. So these things should be there for the perfect cognizance of the perfect single universal truth. So how can we make that the method of sharpening your intellect, increasing your compassion? That is the method. Then how is the different interpretations over space and time happen? That is a subjectivity, How does it happen? Because of the individual variations. And why the individual variations? Because some people are not sharpening their intellect properly. Some people are not developing compassion to all. They are having selfish motives. So they have to be nishkama. They should not expect selfish motives and do karma just for knowing truth. So how to make that method perfect is one thing. Then how to get over the subjectivity and the relativity of individual perceptions. The omnipresent universal truth has to be always objective. That alone can be truth. All the others are relative truths or half truths. Even maybe subjective to different individual reasons and perceptions. These dualities of perceptions due to subjectivity is called by a special technical term, the Maaya. So it is the duality of perception, the Bheda Bhavana or Dvaita Bhavana, which is due to subjectivity, that is called the Maaya. Whereas the highest goal is realization and becoming one with the absolute self, the Ekam Sathyam. That is not Maya, that is truth. That is the absolute truth. So effort work for this is being continued in every generation, so that in every generation it has to be done as a new thing. There should be a new inquiry in every generation. If I have to find out truth, I cannot just say that Shankara has found truth, Buddha has found truth, so and so has found truth. If I want to know truth, I have to continue the inquiry. So it has always to be new in every generation. That is the relevance of making an objective inquiry into absolute truth in every generation. So Vedanta is this process of inquiry by every generation of human beings, and the integration of all the views and processes of self-realization as the universal absolute truth. You are removing the subjectivity of many views, many processes. Over and over the years, many false ideas will creep into the textual knowledge. So by a process of inquiry, by every generation of human beings, the integration of the views and the process of self-realization as the universal absolute truth has to continue. And this process of inquiry, this process of gaveshana or mimamsa is called Vedanta. Without a unified concept, life on earth will become impossible. If there are dualities, if there is selfishness, there will be always problems in society. The society will not survive when there is troubles, when there are strifes, when there are wars. All these wars and strifes and troubles and problems are created by our selfish nature, by our dualities, by the Maya. You have to get away with this Maya, you have to get away with the dualities and know that everything is a unified whole, unified perfect whole, the Ekam Satya, the Brahma. This is a unified concept. Now, there are three bases on which the edifice of human thought is constructed. The first is the seen objects, the dravya and the pinda. Pinda is the dravya with mass. In day-to-day life, we see these things in our universe. We also is part of dravya or pinda. This is in English it is called matter. Dravya and pinda in Sanskrit is slightly different. The dravya with mass is pinda. It's a rounded globular structure. Every human being see and observe this matter and has a subjective understanding of it depending upon his or her level of cognizance. What I know of the universe may not be what Stephen Hawking knows about the universe. What X, Y or Z know about the universe may not be what Einstein know about the universe. So there is a subjective understanding of it. Similarly, what I know of the human body as a doctor may not be what another person who is not a medical person or who has not learned biology may be knowing about a human body. So depends upon the understanding, depends upon the level of cognizance. So it is a subjective knowledge. Whatever you know about the dravya or the pinda in day-to-day life is a subjective understanding depending upon our level of consciousness, our level of cognizance, our level of learning. Because of this process, in every knowledge that we acquire through our Jagrat, that is the awakened state, that always contains some duality, and duality and subjectivity prevails because of the difference in the level of cognizance. Now, the second base is our pure consciousness, the pure consciousness of an individual Jeevathman. I, it is called Aham in Sanskrit. I who cognize is the Jeevathman or the Jiva. I, my name is Suvarna, but Suvarna is only a name for identification. But what I call myself is the I. Every being calls itself as I. So I is an objective thing. The name is different, the form is different, but that aham, that I, the person who cognize is the Jeevatma, the Jiva, and that is the same in every being. This is an internal thing, not external to our environment. It is not external, it is something which is inside. The I is always inside. It is the power of one's consciousness. It is this I, this power of consciousness, which analyzes logically, what you call the manana, nidithyasana, etc. It is this I which determines the nature of both the internal as well as the external things. My own thought I am analyzing. The external things, the universe, also I am analyzing. So this I has got the power to analyze both the internal and the external things, my own thought processes and the external universe. The internal as well as the external universe I can understand by the power of consciousness. Manana, the analysis, grahana, the cognizance, the smruti, that is the memory. Logical analysis, cognizance and memory are the qualities of this I or aham. This is called pratyagatman because this Atman is present in every being, pratyag, every being. It has got, this Jiva has got presence in every being. And it is this pratyagatman or this Jivatma which is having subjective understanding of its own self as well as that of the universe and the objects, as we said earlier. So the aham or the I or the pratyagatman, the Jivatman, which has the power to analyze, cognize and memorize both the internal as well as the external world, has got a subjective understanding of the self as well as the universe because of its individual variations. Now the third one, the third base, the most important, is the pure universal consciousness called Brahman in Sanskrit. So the Atma and the Brahman, the Atma is the Jivatma, Brahman is the Paramatma. Shankaracharya says Atma vai Brahman. Atma itself is Brahman. Now we know that Jivatma, we are all part of this Jagat or the part of this world, this universe. If the Jagat as perceived by the Pratyagatman is subjective with the dualities, if it is Maaya or Mithya, then we, the Jivatma, which also is part of the Jagat, has also to be Maaya or Mithya. At the same time, Brahman is absolute truth and Jivatman itself is Brahman. Then on the other side of the coin, the Jeevatman which becomes one with the Brahman cognizes only absolute truth, and thus the truth of the universe is established. So, if the Jeevatman has dualities in him, he perceives the entire universe as well as his own being as Maaya. Only Maaya, the dualities exist in him. On the other hand, if the same Jeevatma becomes one with Brahman, it understands the universal consciousness, comes to understand or cognizes only the truth, the universal truth. Then he becomes equivalent to Brahman. Thus in his Atman the truth of the universe also is established. Then in him the Jagat is not Maya or Mithya, but it is truth, Brahman. So what is the Samavakya of the Advaita? Brahman is equal to Satya, Jivan is equal to Brahman. Therefore Jiva being Brahman has to be Satya, truth. But then Jagat as seen by individuals is Mithya, relative truth, Abhechika Satya. Jiva being part of the Jagat, the individual Jiva also has to be Mithya or relative truth. But that Jiva which has identified itself with Brahman and which has identified Brahman as the Jagat itself, as Eka, it has become truth itself. It has become Brahman. So Jiva, Brahman, Jagat and truth become one in that Atma which has become one with Brahman. Whereas the Jiva, the Brahman, the Jagat and the every being become Aneka, and thus Abheshika Satya, only relative truth in a person who doesn't understand or who doesn't experience that unity in diversity. The only truth existing is universal truth, Brahman, of which Jiva and Jagat are only parts. Since they are parts of truth, they too must be truth, and this is cognized only by a Jivatma who becomes one with Brahman, who becomes a Brahmavit, who knows Brahman. Now, there are two lines of thoughts. For all these philosophies in India, there are two lines of thoughts. One is the Astika Darshana, the other is the Nastika Darshana. These are the two main lines of thoughts. Astika Darshana, which accepts the Shruti, the Veda, and of course the God. It includes the Nyaya. Nyaya actually means just logic. For every Darshana there should be Nyaya, whether it is Nastika or Astika. Nyaya Darshana, Vaisheshika Darshana, Samkhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa, the ancient traditional 6 darshanas, Shad darshanas are all Astika darshanas. Of these, the Uttara Mimamsa is sometimes termed as Vedanta, though all the others are also part of Vedanta, because in any Anveshana you cannot do away with this Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Samkhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa. All these are parts of Uttara Mimamsa or Vedanta also. If one has to know Vedanta, one person has to know the others also. Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Samkhya, Yoga and Purva Mimamsa also. Now, what is Nastika Darshana? It doesn't accept Shruti or Veda. Or we can even say that it says that there is no need to accept it. You don't have to accept Shruti or Veda or God. You just think of your own experiences, your own this thing. You don't have to depend upon the Shruti, Veda or God, etc. Charvaka and Lokayata are the main Nastika Darshanas. And also the Navya and the Sankhya of the Buddhist period. In that, the ancient traditional Vaisheshika, Samkhya and Nyaya has been slightly changed or deviated from the traditional thing in the Buddhist period. That also has got some Nastika views in it. But there is a third line, that is those who look like Nastika but actually are not Nastika, but they are Astika. These are the Buddhist and Jaina philosophies, because they accept a guru as a divine being through whom only they reach the truth. Accepting a guru as a divine being is a part of the tantric upasana, where you first identify yourself with the guru who is a perfect sarvajna purusha. Then through that sarvajna purusha guru you attain jnana, because you cannot attain God directly. So though they look like Nastiga, they don't accept a different divine being, but they accept Guru as divine. So they look like Nastiga but are actually Astiga. That is the Buddhist and Jaina philosophy. So these are the lines of thoughts that exist. Then for all these things there are two important things. One is Anubhava or experience, and the other is the logic or the Yukti. Anubhavavada and Yuktivada, both are required. Anubhava or Anubhuti, Swanubhuti, the self-realization is the most important, and it is the goal to where we are striving to reach. Now, which are the levels of human experience? We think that only the awakened state, the Jagrad experience, is our experience. You ask somebody what are your experiences, they will speak about their experiences as a professional being, as a doctor, engineer, or as a housewife or something like that, their love life, that and all. They will not think about what experiences they had in Swapna, in Sushupthi or in Dhyana, etc. Those experiences they do not even consider as part of their experiences, leave alone the Turiya. But there are 4 states of human existence: Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupthi and Turiya. Can you negate your dream experience? You had a dream experience, you had a Sushupthi vision. Can you say that I didn't have it? You did have it, but you are negating that, thinking that it is not important. Is it not so? Every human being sees dreams. Every human being has visions, but they don't think about it. They don't consider it as their experience. They don't consider it as their own part of their experience. Is not that so? Similarly, can you negate that I exist, I or aham? I do not exist. Aham nasti. Do you say that? No. Aham asti, jnanundu. I do exist. That will be the answer from every being, no? So you cannot negate the existence of the I or aham. Just like that, you cannot negate the existence of a dream experience or a vision experience as well in Sushupti. And truth, by definition, is that which do not negate itself. That which do not negate itself is truth. So I is truth, and your dream experience also is truth. Then there are other experiences like the near-death experiences, the out-of-the-body experiences, etc. If you have the experience of an I, even in your dream, its enquiry also is included in the enquiry of truth. You have a dream in which you experience an I. I saw a dream. I saw that I am doing this and that. So you are experiencing an I even in your dream. So enquiry of a dream also is an enquiry of truth. Especially certain special dreams that we will come to later. And similarly, if a person has a near-death experience and he survives and tells that, its truth also has to be researched, It also is a part of a human being's experience. So is the out-of-body experiences experienced by only a few. Even if it is by a few, it is something which one has to investigate, do research and find out the truth of such experiences. So the dream, the ND, the OB, etc. are all included in the research material, in the research subject of Vedanta. Just as in a medical field, or medical field also nowadays includes all these things in its inquiry. So all these are important from the Vedantic point of view as something which requires Mimamsa. Now, accept those Shuddhivakya which do not contradict your Swanubhava, says Shankara. So the first you have the experience Swanubhava, then you search for references in your Shruti Vakya. Those which do not contradict with the Swanubhava, you can take as a reference point. That is the real method of science. That is what Shankara has said. So that is the scientific method. Now, since the Swanubhava of a person is always subjective, and it varies with individuals, from one individual to another individual, the experience of a guru who has attained the top level of consciousness is accepted by all. So that is where the guru, a perfect guru, he has become a Brahmatna, a Sarvatna becomes important. Vishnu as a guru, Krishna as a guru, or Buddha, Tirthankaras as gurus comes. So that is why gurus are important in bringing the student to a level where the subjectivity can be done away with. So the method of the Vedanta is making every experience, every natural phenomenon, every object around and within us to the strict analysis of logic, yukti, and accepting only that which is logically possible. Accepting Shruti as the final word for a point of reference, that is Paranubhava of a learned guru of ancient period, is a reference point. This is the method that Vedanta has accepted. For cognizance, each person has to have Sattva Shuddhi, that is Shama, Dama, etc. As advised in the Ashtanga Yoga, you have to practice all these things and make yourself a pure consciousness where you can concentrate fully on the subject and get the full knowledge. So for cognizance, Sattva Shuddhi, concentration, dhyana, etc. are needed. Only then the Brahmatmaikya can be achieved. And here we come to a definition given in Mundaka Upanishad Shankara Bhashya on the word Upanishad. Ya imam brahma vidyam upayanti atma bhavena shraddha bhakti purassara sandastesham garbha janma jara rogadyanartha pugam nishadayati param ya brahma gamayatya vidyadi samsara karanam cha atyandam avasadayati vinashayati iti Upanishad. Upani purvasya saderevam arthasmaranad. ബ്രഹ്മവിദ്യയെ ഉപാസിക്കുക. എങ്ങനെ? ആത്മഭാവേന. ബ്രഹ്മാവും ആത്മാവും ഒന്ന് തന്നെയാണ് എന്ന് മനസ്സിൽ വിചാരിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ബ്രഹ്മ ആൻഡ് ആത്മാ ആർ ദ സെയിം. ഡു ദാറ്റ് ഉപാസന വിത്ത് കോൺസെൻട്രേഷൻ, ശ്രദ്ധ ആൻഡ് ഭക്തി, ഡിവോഷൻ. Then first what happens is all the disorders due to your birth, due to the old age, other diseases, everything are destroyed. Nishadayadi are destroyed. Nishadayadi means destroyed. Then the next is avidya. What is the reason for all this samsara? Avidya. Even that avidya, the root cause of the samsara is removed. Atyandam avasadayadi, vinashayadi. That also is destroyed. Then you reach Brahma. Brahma gamayatya. Brahma, you are getting nearer and nearer to Brahma by these steps. First the anartha puga are destroyed, then the samsara karana is destroyed, then you step by step you are reaching nearer and nearer to Brahman. The Atman is reaching nearer and nearer to Brahman. That is why the Upanishad is called Upanishad. Upani and Sad. So we know that Nana is always within Atman. Atman is always Nanamaya. But it is hidden by dualities or avidya in us, and due to so many other causes. To to reveal it, Sattva-shuddhi is needed. The Guru removes the avidya so that the Jnana within our Atman is revealed. In other words, the Guru makes the Shishya more and more close to Brahman, Brahma Vidya. So Upanishad is not only a process of sitting near the Guru. That is from the point of view of the student. I am sitting near the Guru and trying to learn something. That meaning is from the point of view of the Shishya only. But from the point of view of the Guru, what is he doing? He is bringing the disciple, the Shishya, closer and closer to absolute truth. And it is the meaning of Upanishad as given in the Mundaka Bhashya of Shankaracharya. And in Ashatnana, Nalapat Narayana Menon has given that meaning. And in one of the articles, Sukumara Ikod has said that there is no such meaning for Upanishads in Shankara Bhashya, but I just quoted that words from Mundaka Bhashyam because it is there, that definition is there, and that definition is also there in the Pranavavada of Gargya. So there are two meanings for Upanishads. One is from the point of view of the Shishya sitting near the Guru, and the other is from the point of view of the Guru, that is bringing the Shishya closer and closer to the Brahma Vidya, to Brahma, by removing all his avidya. And the Vedanta study classes, you have to learn Prasthanatraya, Bhagavad Gita, then the Upanishads, the Upanishads by Shankara, then there is Brahma Sutra, Badarayana Brahma Sutra, and these are to be studied first before you start teaching somebody about Vedanta. Then the different Upanishads have got different views or different descriptions, but a universal truth is always described as the same. The method used by each rishi may differ, but the point they reach is the same. For example, in Taittiriya describes how one becomes one with Brahman by a conscious process of upasana, and gives the Swanubhuthi of the rishi, like Trishangu, that of Bhrigu, etc., who attained such Swanubhuthi. Katha Upanishad deals with death, the near-death experience, the bardo states. Yama, the god of death himself, is the natural guru there. Aitareya starts with the origin of many universes from the Ekam Brahman. It also gives a comparative account of Prapancha Sarga, Pratibha Sarga and Praja Sarga. So the origin of the cosmos and universe, the origin of the Pratibha, or our own aesthetic and cognizant sense, and the creation of the progeny, Praja Sarga, all are comparable at a different level. That is done in Aitareya. Jnana and Supreme Prajna is eulogized in Aitareya.